From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Good morning and thanks for starting your day with us. Today is Saturday, September 27th. I'm Max Darrow. Here's a look at what we've got at the top of the rundown today. San Francisco police are offering a $50,000 reward for information that can help solve a murder in the Mission District. They're hoping to identify this person, who investigators have labeled as a person of interest in the case. Police say 32-year-old Keith Albert was shot and killed in his wheelchair in August of last year. Police have not released any information about a possible motive at this time. Starbucks is closing hundreds of stores across the country. Dozens of them are right here at home in the Bay Area, including this location on Harts Avenue in Danville. There are also stores closing in Oakland, Livermore, Fremont, and San Francisco. That includes the Fisherman's Wharf location. On Friday, Starbucks also revealed another 900 corporate layoffs in addition to the roughly 1,000 announced in February. 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy is set to start tomorrow's game at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Purdy missed the last two games with a toe injury. He took part in limited practice on Wednesday and Thursday, but on Friday he was able to take place in full practice, which cleared the way for him to get back in action on Sunday. 49ers are heading into the matchup against Jacksonville with a 3-0 record. Now let's get over to First Alert meteorologist Darren Peck on this Saturday morning.
Well, make the most of this day. It's the best of the weekend. Sunday's still nice. You're not going to get rained on Sunday. You will on Monday. But Sunday and Saturday are great. But Saturday is even better because today we're not waking up to the marine layer and you're going to have blue skies pretty much throughout the entirety of this day. And these numbers are in some places close to 10 degrees cooler than you were yesterday. So instead of being in the 90s like we were for the inland East Bay on Friday, today's numbers are down below average by a couple of degrees. You can see what it looks like up there in the North Bay. Enjoy this one. We do have some things to discuss in terms of what is coming our way by the time we get to Monday. So when we get back together again in the complete forecast, we're going to talk about this cold front, which has the good manners to wait until Monday, but it is getting here on Monday. And then there's another one behind it, and there's a chance of rain on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We'll have all of that covered coming up in the full forecast in just a bit.
In San Francisco, a canceled night market did not stop the Sunset District from coming alive Friday night with line dancers, food, and a big community turnout. The Sunset After Dark night market brought neighbors and businesses back together just weeks after a heated recall election left the district without a supervisor. A grassroots group called Dear Community rallied sponsors, merchants, and neighbors to revive the night market on Irving Street in just a matter of 2 months. Hundreds of people showed up to support local businesses and reconnect. Mayor Daniel Lurie mingled with vendors and neighbors, calling it a step towards unity in a really divided moment. He also said community events like this show the Sunset's potential. Some local residents agree.
It's amazing to have this event to bring people together, especially after something that was so divisive. And so I'm almost viewing this as like a palate cleanser, right? A way for all of us to come together and just support, again, our businesses, vendors, and local schools.
We have so much more that we agree on than we disagree on. And what they all agree on is let's drive more people to the Sunset.
In a special election almost 2 weeks ago, voters recalled former Supervisor Joel Engardio. Mayor Lurie says he is actively interviewing potential replacements who would be ready to lead the district for the long haul. Turning to the South Bay now, some people in East San Jose want the city to bring in more police officers. They're making those demands after a popular deli was burglarized earlier this week. Check this out. So this is surveillance video that is showing burglars smashing a truck into Antipastos Deli on McKee Road early Monday morning and then running right inside. The owners say the suspects stole expensive bottles of wine and beer and caused $6,000 worth of damage. It's the third time this has happened this year, and the owners say they're fed up. They're now asking for more officers on the streets.
The more that we have to deal with these type of events, make it more difficult to run a business and stay open.
A higher level of visibility of police patrols, more emphasis placed on community policing, and strong accountability for those that are arrested and convicted for these type of crimes is our best recipe for preventing crime and ensuring safer neighborhoods.
The city wants to hear from anybody who might have more information on this burglary. Staying in Santa Clara County, the latest count shows more than 10,000 people who live in the county are homeless. Majority of them are in San Jose, and now the city and county are trying to team up to get more people into housing. County Supervisor Betty Duong wants to increase access to health services. San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan, who's previously called on the county to step up its efforts, says new local partnerships are necessary because of the loss of federal and state support.
We also have a desperate need as Washington and Sacramento pull back. The federal government is cutting Medicaid. The state just zeroed out HAP funding this year and is only committed to maybe funding half of the usual level next year.
Duong and Mahan will formally propose their plan to the Board of Supervisors on October 7th. San Bruno police are warning people to leave their orange cones inside and not out on the roadways, where police say they are being used to try to reserve parking spaces. But there's one woman we talked to that says that's not how she's using them. She says the roads in her neighborhood have gotten busier and more dangerous, and as a result, drivers have hit her car 8 times. And these cones, she says, are the last line of defense.
And this is why we put this here, because at least maybe it would give them some attention, and I haven't been hit since I put it.
She and other neighbors say they want more traffic enforcement in order to address the problem. A San Bruno official told CBS News Bay Area the city has no plans to write tickets for the cones for now. A new immersive exhibit at the DeYoung Museum in Golden Gate Park has a lot of fans of manga and anime quite excited. The Art of Manga exhibit begins with visitors stepping into a life-sized manga experience. They can explore the roots of Japanese graphic storytelling surrounded by architecture that is lifted straight from the page. This is the West Coast's first major manga exhibit meant to highlight the genre's global influence through the eyes of the artist Mari Yamazaki.
It's my personal story that my grandfather lived here in San Francisco from 1915 to 1928. So he always talked about me happy life he got in San Francisco at the time.
The exhibit opens today and runs through January. Tickets are available on the DeYoung Museum website. It is 6:08 on this Saturday morning. Let's take a look at some events happening around the region today. We start in Pleasanton, getting ready for perhaps one of the cutest events of the year, CorgiCon. Organizers say it is a great way to celebrate the stubby, fluffy breed. It used to take place at Ocean Beach, but this year it'll happen at the Alameda County Fairgrounds. Gates open at 10 o'clock. You do not need a corgi to get in. For our friends in Monterey, the world's longest-running jazz festival is in full swing this weekend. The 68th annual Monterey Jazz Festival features 79 performances across 5 stages, with crowds jamming the fairgrounds all weekend long. It wraps up tomorrow with some big names still scheduled to hit the stage. Along the Central Coast, the Capitola Beach Festival kicks off today with a 3-mile fun run and sandcastle contest. And at 7 o'clock tonight, there will be a Sunset Nautical Parade. The theme of this year's festival is Vacation Snapshots. The weekend celebration is meant to fill the village south of Santa Cruz with memorable images and plenty of seaside vibes. In Napa, the 21st annual Ride, Walk, and Roll to Cure ALS will take over the valley this morning. It is a full day of biking, walking, and live music, all to raise money and awareness in the fight against ALS. Coming up, the Bay Area's public transit system still never fully recovered from the effects of the pandemic. When we return, we take a look at some of the financial challenges, ridership numbers, and a potential bailout plan on Governor Gavin Newsom's desk. Turning now to the fight to save Bay Area mass transit, as huge budget problems continue to threaten the services that so many people rely on. Let's talk numbers here. Muni is facing a deficit of $320 million that could grow to $430 million. BART expecting a $400 million shortfall by 2027. And Caltrain, $75 million in the red between fiscal years 2027 and 2035. So the CEOs of BART, Caltrain, and Muni all hopped on board a BART train at 19th Street Station in Oakland on Friday afternoon. They joined the leaders of other Bay Area mass transit systems for a trip around the Bay to promote Transit Month. I took a ride on public transit with a regular rider to get their take on solutions and what's at stake. Another day, another ride on Muni for Maria Meyer. She's a regular public transit user who's rode the bus for
over 50 years.
She is not associated with any transit advocacy groups. Her honest take on public transit right now.
It's working really well for me.
She says based on what she sees, regular ridership must be improving.
More people are going to work downtown, and I see more people on the buses.
She is correct. Ridership is recovering for Muni and public transit systems across the board, but it's happening slowly. SFMTA data shows Muni's average weekday ridership in June was at about 482,000 people. That's about 68% of pre-pandemic ridership. BART just saw its best August since before the pandemic and is on track for an even better September, but ridership is still only at about 45% of where it was before COVID. Caltrain's August ridership increased by 61.5% from last August, but is still only at 55.9% of pre-pandemic figures. Something Meyer thinks would help get more people on board.
Maybe the different agencies need to communicate better to make one system that all of which support one another better.
According to BART spokesperson Alicia Trost, that is beginning to happen in ways it hasn't before.
Every transit system is working together, not as separate agencies, but finally as one network where we're syncing our schedules. We're talking about the rider experience so that when you go from one system to the next, it's that easy transfer. We need to act as one network now more than ever before, especially as we're asking for greater investments.
That message comes during Transit Month, a time to celebrate and encourage people to take public transit.
You've got your sticker, so you get to pick.
Trost and other BART leaders spent a day giving out prizes to riders.
I'll take the plushies.
Awesome. Thank you for riding.
Meantime, agency leaders continue to urge Governor Gavin Newsom to sign SB 63, a $750 million lifeline to keep transit moving for the next few years until voters have the chance to weigh in on a 2026 tax measure that would help fund public transit. Kaylee O'Mark is with Seamless Bay Area. Jaime Valoria is with San Francisco Transit Riders. These are the two advocacy groups that came up with Transit Month.
We're really at an inflection point in our public transit system.
They argue that the Bay Area will be better off economically and environmentally with a stronger public transit system.
So it's really important that we not only protect the system we have, but improve it for riders so that we can attract more people to take the system.
If we don't fund transit soon, we're just going to take like 2-3 steps back. And it's going to be more expensive trying to bring us back to where we're at right now.
Like many, Meyer knows the road ahead for public transit isn't necessarily straightforward.
I'd like to see it expanded. I mean, I understand, you can't work with no money, but I do think it would be a kind of a false economy to pretend that it doesn't have a major impact on life.
Draw and play.
Ultimately, lawmakers and voters will have to decide which lane they think is best. Governor Newsom has until October 12th to sign or veto SB 63.
All right, let's get right into the details of this rain coming our way on Monday. Since we know we've got a great looking weekend, we covered that in the last visit, and I'll show you the 70 forecast coming up in a bit. Did you see what just happened here? I want to play that again. What we're going to look at is the Futurecast depiction of rain in a cold front that's coming our way over the weekend, but it doesn't get here until right about here, and that would be Monday. Beautifully outlined cold front right here, and if you follow this back, you can see some areas start to pop with the yellows and oranges in here. Along this front, there could be an isolated thunderstorm as we go into Monday. But this is just the first one. Watch what happens. I'm going to step back here, and you're going to see the next cold front come in behind it. So we'll take the Futurecast now and play it forward into Tuesday, and look, there's another one. See it? Beautifully outlined. And now you also see the culprit behind all this shows up. What the really cool looking thing about this is, if you put the Futurecast for rainfall into an animation, you can actually see the rain caught up in the counterclockwise rotation at the center of that low. Can you see that little cinnamon roll? So that's kind of the engine that's driving all of this. And the closer we get to that on Tuesday and Wednesday, we could also see a few more thunderstorms embedded up there. But there's your main rainmaker for late Tuesday going into Wednesday. Let's get a little more specific on this, because we are now close enough to the arrival of this that the high-resolution models are able to start giving us a lot of clarity on it in detail, at least for the first part of it. So we're looking ahead to Monday. Most of Monday, in fact, it does not rain. We've already gone all the way to noon and nothing's happened, but some clouds. But you can see that cold front sweeps through just in time for like 5 o'clock. Now, in order to take this a little bit farther down the road, we got to switch from high resolution to the long range model. So you're going to see a little bit less in the detail, but the story remains the same. There's that cold front and it marches across the bay essentially Monday night. Still with us into early morning Tuesday, but it's gone most of Tuesday. And the next one gets in here so late on Tuesday, it could potentially be Wednesday by the time it gets here. And you can see that cold front then marches its way across the bay through the morning hours on Wednesday, and then it clears out. We're going to get better in timing these as we get closer to it, but that's kind of the latest info on timing. And if you're curious about amounts, anywhere from 0.3 to half an inch of rain in the North Bay, and maybe about 0.2 of an inch of rain falling down for the rest of the bay. So that's what's coming from the cold front out here. Let's say goodbye to that and just go back to our temperature forecast because I want to get everybody in here. Take a look at where we're going to be for daytime highs today once again. But let's change our perspective a bit. Let's check out the numbers down south. Let's get Monterey, Santa Cruz. Let's get Watsonville on here. And Salinas. You can see what your daytime highs are going to be like today. These are pretty nice, of course. A lot more influence coming in here from Monterey Bay, and the temperature's typically going to be a bit cooler there, certainly near the water. All right, there's your 7-day forecast. You can see 3 days on there with rain in it, and then we'll get a bit of a break towards the end of it. And just to round this out, I'll show you the 7-day forecast here for the Bay, and you can see how those temperatures will play out as well, and the chance of rain through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Coming up in sports, the Giants try to end their year strong in their last series of the season, and the 49ers will have their starting QB back under center as they look to remain perfect. The Jaguars come to town on Sunday, and when they do, the 49ers will have one of their best players back. While Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings are questionable for Week 4, Brock Purdy will be back under center for the first time since the season opener.
Yeah, beat that Brock will start.
Yes. So there you have it. After missing the last 2 games with a toe injury, Purdy will get the start this Sunday against Jacksonville. The 49ers QB1 was limited in practice on Wednesday and Thursday, but a full participant on Friday, clearing the way for him to return to the field this weekend.
Did he almost make more progress than you had anticipated?
Not really. I mean, that was what we were hoping for. We knew it could go either way, but the fact that we even considered him to be an emergency guy last week, just talking to him on Monday and Tuesday, and it wasn't full on Wednesday or Thursday, but you could tell it was going that direction, and as long as he woke up today feeling good, we kind of expected it. He's always prepared. He's played in games with 0 practice, and he got, for the most part, all of it this week.
Willie Adames was named by the Giants as this year's Willie Mack Award winner as the team's most inspirational player, and maybe that inspired him to get the scoring started in the first. He hits a big fly to left field, his 29th home run of the season. Give the Giants an early 2-0 lead. Can he get to 30? Second inning, Giants kept the pressure on as Elliot Ramos knocks in a 3-run homer and extended their lead to 5-0, and it was a good night for the starting pitching. Trevor McDonald, in his second start for the Giants, while he did allow 3 earned runs, he went 7 innings deep with 10 strikeouts in his first big league win. Giants went on to beat the Rockies 6-3. The most electric tournament in golf returned on Friday. The 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage teed off as Europe and the United States battled. The U.S. is defending home course, trying to prevent the Europeans from claiming the first road victory in the tournament since 2012. President Trump in attendance, walking out with Team USA for the afternoon matches. Slow start for the Americans, who lost 3 of their 4 morning matches, but fought back in the afternoon. Justin Thomas, big birdie on 11 to get the crowd fired up. He and Cam Young won their match to put the Americans on the board. Tough day for world number 1 Scotty Scheffler. Gained some momentum here with a birdie make on 15, but European Jon Rahm was lights out, sank the long birdie putt right after Scotty. to tie the hole. Rahm and Sepp Straka took down Scheffler and J.J. Spahn after day one. The Europeans have a 3-point lead, but there is still plenty of golf to play this weekend. That's going to do it for sports. Have a great day.
An auction begins in just a few hours for memorabilia belonging to the late Willie Mays. It begins at 10:30 at a warehouse located at 128 King Street. The auction is expected to generate millions of dollars for the Giants legend's Say Hey Foundation to support underprivileged youth. The Mays' adopted son, Michael Mays, has made multiple requests for certain items to be removed from the listing. Michael highlighted the Presidential Medal of Freedom award that was given to Willie Mays back in 2015. He believes it should go to a museum rather than to the highest bidder.
Some things that are being considered memorabilia are by no means memorabilia. They are culturally, historically significant items that are priceless and belong to the next generation, and that's going to be our chance.
But the auction house says they are just following Willie Mays' wishes.
What's so important to us is that we honor the wishes of the player that's selling the things with us. And Willie always wanted this to go to help get young people a better start than he had from Westfield, Alabama.
We reached out to the Say Hey Foundation. Its chair, a longtime friend of Mays named Jeff Bleich, sent us a statement saying in part, quote, Willie Mays loved children, and he wanted all of his collection to go to his fans in order to raise money to serve those children. Bleich also said that Mays made replicas of his pieces that he wanted to have displayed and added that the foundation held back some historic pieces for future display. Willie Mays died at 93 years old in June of last year. Coming up after the break, President Trump suggests more prosecutions of his political opponents may be coming following Thursday's indictment of James Comey. What comes next in the case against the former FBI director? ICE agents arrest the superintendent of Iowa's largest school district, prompting protests in Des Moines. We'll take you there.
From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Morning Edition.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Max Darrow. Let's begin the half hour with a check of the weather with First Alert meteorologist Darren Peck.
Well, make the most of this day. It's the best of the weekend. Sunday's still nice. You're not going to get rained on Sunday. You will on Monday. But Sunday and Saturday are great. But Saturday is even better because today we're not waking up to the marine layer and you're going to have blue skies pretty much throughout the entirety of this day. And these numbers are in some places close to 10 degrees cooler than you were yesterday. So instead of being in the 90s like we were for the inland East Bay on Friday, today's numbers are down below average by a couple of degrees. You can see what it looks like up there in the North Bay. Enjoy this one. We do have some things to discuss in terms of what is coming our way by the time we get to Monday. So when we get back together again in the complete forecast, we're going to talk about this cold front, which has the good manners to wait until Monday, but it is getting here on Monday. And then there's another one behind it, and there's a chance of rain on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We'll have all of that covered coming up in the full forecast in just a bit.
President Trump continues to publicly direct prosecutors to target his political opponents. Following this week's indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, Trump said he believes there will be others charged. CBS's Christian Benavides has the latest.
The nation's former top cop was indicted after President Trump publicly called for prosecutors to charge him. Former FBI Director James Comey faces 2 counts, making a false statement and obstruction of Congress for his testimony 5 years ago on Capitol Hill.
I can only speak to my testimony.
About whether he authorized leaking information to the media. The president celebrated the charges.
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. He's a dirty cop. He's always been a dirty cop. I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt.
Trump pushed back on a question about politicizing the Justice Department.
They did it with me for 4 years. They went after me. They went after me for 4 years.
Last week, the president posted on social media that Comey and other political opponents should face charges. He then forced out the federal prosecutor in Virginia, who was not plowing ahead with the case against Comey, installed his own White House aide, Lindsey Halligan, as the new U.S. attorney in Virginia, who then signed charging papers.
You can bet your bottom dollar that the first motion Comey and his attorneys will be making is one for a selective and vindictive prosecution, and they've got the evidence there in the form of that Truth Social tweet.
Comey responded to the charges in a video message.
I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
He faces a judge October 9th.
President Trump is also taking aim at a top Microsoft executive with ties to the Biden administration. Trump criticized Microsoft's hiring of Lisa Monaco, Biden's former deputy attorney general, calling her a menace to national security. The president is demanding her removal. He pointed to Monaco's role in the Department of Justice investigations against him and said her access to sensitive information poses a threat because of Microsoft's federal contracts. Tensions continue to escalate between the U.S. and Colombia after President Gustavo Petro made remarks about President Trump and the U.S. military. While speaking at a pro-Palestinian protest in New York, Petro accused Trump of enabling genocide in Gaza. Petro also urged U.S. soldiers to disobey Trump's orders for airstrikes against suspected drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean. The U.S. State Department called his comments reckless and incendiary and revoked his visa just hours later. However, Petro had already left the country. After another deadly attack on an ICE facility, the Justice Department is taking new steps to protect immigration agents. Attorney General Pam Bondi says she is deploying DOJ agents to ICE centers nationwide following the shooting in Dallas on Wednesday that killed one detainee and injured two others. The gunman marked his ammo with the phrase anti-ICE. Bondi also ordered anti-terror units to crack down on anyone targeting federal agents. In Iowa, federal immigration agents have arrested the head of the state's largest school district. They arrested Des Moines Superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts, claiming he has lived and worked in the U.S. illegally and faces a final deportation order. Officers tracked him down during a traffic stop and say he was carrying a handgun and a knife. Roberts is a former Olympian from Guyana and has led a district with 30,000 students since 2023. The school board called the situation complex. Protests did erupt across Iowa in response to his detention. In fact, hundreds rallied in downtown Des Moines demanding Roberts' release. Protesters, including teachers and students, held up signs supporting him. Some people say his arrest has sparked fear across the community, raising questions about immigration enforcement in schools. In South Korea, a fire today at a major government data center knocked out hundreds of services and caused nationwide disruptions. Officials say a lithium battery exploded during maintenance at the National Information Resources Service. It sparked a massive fire that shut down more than 600 government systems. Services like mail, digital ID, and official emails went dark. Fire crews battled the flames for several hours while government leaders scrambled to restore systems and get them back online before a national holiday. The country's prime minister apologized and ordered urgent action to get services back online. Coming up, all across the country, service dogs are making things easier for their owners. When we return, we'll talk to the Bay Area woman who came up with the original idea, all about its ongoing impact.
What can we do to get them out and about on their own? And I just sat there and went, dogs. Dogs could do it.
The concept of the modern-day service dog turns 50 years old this year, and it all started with a Sonoma County woman who's trained dogs to serve people from troubled youth to military veterans. Sharon Chin introduces us to this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award winner.
She knows it. Good girl, good girl, good girl. Come here.
For Poppy, the service dog in training, many things are possible, according to Dr. Bonnie Bergen.
It's exceptional what these dogs are able to do. We brush their teeth.
Bonnie is the founder and president of Paws for Purple Hearts. The nonprofit trains dogs to support military veterans with mobility and mental health challenges.
I get distracted by her.
Bonnie shook up the idea of what canine companions could do back in 1975. She was a teacher who wanted to help people living with disabilities.
What can we do to get them out and about on their own? And I just sat there and I went, Dogs. Dogs could do it.
She began training her own puppy, Abdul, to help a quadriplegic woman, Carrie Knaus, perform tasks like
Okay, puppy, light. Yes, good girl.
flip a light switch
Get it?
and pick up keys off the floor. Nearly 100 commands became Bonnie's training template. In 1991, she founded what's now known as the Bergen College of Canine Studies, the first campus of its kind dedicated to training service dogs.
Left.
Paws for Purple Hearts began as a Bergen College research project and became its own Sonoma County nonprofit in 2011 to help combat veterans find healing.
They help them love again. Trusting and loving are the two missing links that the dogs are so great at bringing back.
Tug.
Ralph Avalon found relief from PTSD, taking part in the nonprofit's signature therapy program, helping train dogs in a variety of tasks so they could become service dogs for other military veterans.
You can really be dragged down mentally, and working with the dogs just brought me a new sense of self and centered me. Tug.
Ralph now volunteers training Poppy. She's one of 200 dogs that the nonprofit's deployed to touch the lives of more than 20,000 people. Paws for Purple Hearts has expanded from the Bay Area and California to Alaska, Texas, Virginia, and Washington. And even after its headquarters moved to Oregon last year, Bonnie, at age 80, still leads the pack. Brainstorming new ways for dogs to bring love and support.
When one of those kids, the child of one of those veterans, comes to us and turns to the dog and says, "Thank you for giving me my dad back," I think for all of us, that is, nothing could say it better. Puppy, turn.
So for training service dogs for 50 years, this week's CBS News Bay Area Icon Award goes to Dr. Bonnie Bergen.
So it is called Paws for Purple Hearts, but veterans do not need to be Purple Heart recipients to take part in these free services. Bonnie says that she'd like to expand to the Midwest and East Coast if they can significantly increase donations and grants. And you can nominate a community hero for a CBS News Bay Area Icon Award at kpix.com/icon. The time is 6:44 on this Saturday morning. It's not a great look in the sky with this image right here. We're going to dive into how hotter temperatures mean more dangerous wildfire smoke. Tell you how some people in the Bay Area are trying to help keep our air clean. Smoke, haze, and air quality. The changing climate's fueling more frequent and intense wildfires like the ones we saw in Los Angeles earlier this year. And they're sending even more dangerous smoke into the air and the atmosphere that we experience every day and breathe. But as one East Bay boy found out, there are steps that you can take to harness your superpower, really, against this growing threat. Here's Ann Makovic.
8-year-old Nate likes a challenge and aims high. He's got big plans for the future.
I want to be a singer or artist and be in the army and an astronaut.
Another goal?
You're just like...
knowing how to keep his asthma under control.
All I say is, if you have asthma, try avoid pulling the trigger.
One big trigger, wildfire smoke, is posing a unique threat.
New research is showing that wildfire smoke might be especially toxic, especially dangerous form of air pollution.
Marshall Burke is a professor at Stanford University. He says as the climate continues to warm, expect more wildfires with a lot more smoke that contains all kinds of chemicals. Nearly 50 million homes in the U.S. are now located in or near forested areas, with millions more to be built.
Unfortunately, as wildfires burn into cities, what's in the smoke is often what's also in our houses. Wildfires burn up cars, they burn up what's under our sink or in our garages. And that can be really nasty stuff, again, that ends up in smoke that is then inhaled.
Add to that the ultrafine particles already found in smoke that can penetrate the lungs and enter the bloodstream. Burke's research projects that by 2050, smoke exposure alone will kill 70,000 people a year. That includes children, older adults, and those with lung disease.
Already a big number, likely to get bigger under future climate change.
To address the threat, Burke and his team created a free online tool, an interactive atlas.
So here we have the atlas up.
Zoom in or enter your address and learn about the wildfire smoke risk in your home. Soon the site will include what you can do to reduce that risk, including portable air filters.
Not everyone can afford a $200 air filter, so we need to make sure that people can access them.
That's where Dr. Tanya Piperly and Vivian Chang of Breathe California step in. The nonprofit serves 8 counties around the Bay Area. Part of their mission is to give air purifiers to those in need.
There are resources out there. We go out to community centers, and we also work with our partners to do a lot of education and bring awareness about this root cause that is climate change.
Breathe California offers other resources, including a free summer camp for kids with asthma, where they can learn to avoid triggers and use medicine.
We hope that they come out of camp just with the confidence and the knowledge that they need to stay safe at home, at school, and so they can take charge of their asthma.
Nate loved it. His dad knows that knowledge is power.
We can be more informed so that we can protect our kids and protect each other.
Perhaps the best kind of superpower as the climate continues to warm.
You can test out the atlas by going to kpix.com. You can also learn more about Breathe California's big walkathon, which is scheduled today.
All right, let's get right into the details of this rain coming our way on Monday. Since we know we've got a great looking weekend, we covered that in the last visit, and I'll show you the 7-day forecast coming up in a bit. Did you see what just happened here? I want to play that again. What we're going to look at is the Futurecast depiction of rain in a cold front that's coming our way over the weekend, but it doesn't get here until right about here, and that would be Monday. Beautifully outlined cold front right here, and if you follow this back, you can see some areas start to pop with the yellows and oranges in here. Along this front, there could be an isolated thunderstorm as we go into Monday. But this is just the first one. Watch what happens. I'm going to step back here, and you're going to see the next cold front come in behind it. So we'll take the Futurecast now and play it forward into Tuesday, and look, there's another one. See it? Beautifully outlined. And now you also see the culprit behind all this shows up. What the really cool looking thing about this is, if you put the Futurecast for rainfall into an animation, you can actually see the rain caught up in the counterclockwise rotation at the center of that low. Can you see that little cinnamon roll? So that's kind of the engine that's driving all of this. And the closer we get to that on Tuesday and Wednesday, we could also see a few more thunderstorms embedded up there. But there's your main rainmaker for late Tuesday going into Wednesday. Let's get a little more specific on this, because we are now close enough to the arrival of this that the high-resolution models are able to start giving us a lot of clarity on it in detail, at least for the first part of it. So we're looking ahead to Monday. Most of Monday, in fact, it does not rain. We've already gone all the way to noon and nothing's happened but some clouds. But you can see that cold front sweeps through just in time for like 5 o'clock. Now, in order to take this a little bit farther down the road, we got to switch from high resolution to the long range model. So you're going to see a little bit less in the detail, but the story remains the same. There's that cold front, and it marches across the bay essentially Monday night. Still with us into early morning Tuesday, but it's gone most of Tuesday. And the next one gets in here so late on Tuesday, it could potentially be Wednesday by the time it gets here. And you can see that cold front then marches its way across the bay through the morning hours on Wednesday, and then it clears out. We're going to get better in timing these as we get closer to it, but that's kind of the latest info on timing. And if you're curious about amounts, anywhere from 0.3 to 1/2 inch of rain in the North Bay, and maybe about 0.2 of an inch of rain falling down for the rest of the bay. So that's what's coming from the cold front out here. Let's say goodbye to that and just go back to our temperature forecast, because I want to get everybody in here. Take a look at where we're going to be for daytime highs today once again. But let's change our perspective a bit. Let's check out the numbers down south. Let's get Monterey, Santa Cruz. Let's get Watsonville on here. And Salinas, you can see what your daytime highs are going to be like today. These are pretty nice, of course. A lot more influence coming in here from Monterey Bay, and the temperature's typically going to be a bit cooler there, certainly near the water. All right, there's your 7-day forecast. You can see 3 days on there with rain in it, and then we'll get a bit of a break towards the end of it. And just to round this out, I'll show you the 7-day forecast here for the Bay, and you can see how those temperatures will play out as well, and the chance of rain through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, we covered the timing on the rain, but just a review on this. We've got rain on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and the most likely timing on Monday's rain is the rain doesn't even get here till like afternoon, evening. First half of Monday should be fine. That's good news for the Monday morning commute. And then you've got a second cold front that'll come through with a little more rain on Wednesday. There'll be plenty of breaks in there, more time when it's not raining than when it is. By the way, you had a great looking weekend. Today's nicer than Sunday, but they're both nice. And I only say today's nicer because you're likely going to be seeing more sunshine today in general than you will on Sunday. And just to round out the 7-day forecast, let's get the numbers in here now for the Bay. And you can see what that looks like. Equal chance for rain by the time we get to Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here as well.
Finally, this morning, a new study out this week reveals some clues on how to live a longer life and potentially a much longer life. It's all thanks to a woman who died last year in Spain at the young age of 117 years old. Maria Brañas Morera was the oldest person in the world when she died last year. She was born in San Francisco, but lived most of her life in Spain. She survived 2 world wars and 2 pandemics. She had 3 children and 13 great-grandchildren. Morera requested that doctors study her life to find answers about her amazing longevity. Now, they say it was partly her genetics, but also partly due to her healthy diet, which included fish, olive oil, and lots of yogurt.
There are many reasons why she lived that much and with good health. One possible component relates to diet, of course. She ate 3 per day. Not 1, it's 3 per day. At the end, it reduced inflammation. And chronic inflammation is one of the main causes of aging and disease.
We should also note that Morera was never a smoker or a drinker. She kept a close circle of family and friends. Great secrets to longevity there. Maybe add some extra yogurt to the diet. Thanks for watching KPIX News this morning. Don't forget the news continues all day on CBS News Bay Area. We'll be back here tomorrow morning bright and early at 6 o'clock. From all of us here at KPIX and CBS News Bay Area, have a great Saturday.